Senator Francis Heyliger, you recognize.
Good afternoon to my colleagues, the people of the territory, testifiers. I really wish the CFO was able to be here because I had quite a bit of questions in regards to that I really would have liked a little bit more clarity on. But I want to just get into the nitty-gritty of the function of the BMV. I'll use myself for an example. My birthday is October the 12th, and I have to come and do my driver's license this year. It's up. And some of the stories that I have been shared with from my constituents are not very positive as to how they're dealing with registration and driver's license. Tell me just to educate myself, what is the process currently when someone comes in to get their driver's license?
The process is you make an appointment, and on your appointment, we ask that you make an appointment before your birthday.
Okay.
Try to make it 3 months before your birthday, please.
Oh, I'll make a note. I had no idea.
Yeah, try, because everybody who has a birthday on the same day, we only could accommodate but so many persons on that day. So you make an appointment, and on that day, you come in and bring the required documents, which is proof of lawful status, social security card, and proof of physical address. If you're moving from the States or you have another driver's license, we ask that you bring in the driving history from the other state, because sometimes persons have things on their license such as suspensions or even the license.
So you depend on them to provide it to you?
Yes, it's fine, because we could double check if we want to, but we provide it. We depend on them. And they bring that in and you pay. After review the documents, you pay, you take your picture, sign, and then you're gone. That's it.
And you guys send out, or do they get it the same day?
No, we give you a temporary if you're getting the real ID, and then within no more than 3 to 4 months, because we have to go through another validation process, and then you get your license. We have been pretty good in it being done quicker. But of course, you hear the stories about people who have either not received a call to pick it up.
Because, what I've learned is that if the process goes smoothly, they're not going to call me as a senator. I get the calls when everything is helter-skelter for them. Mm-hmm. So explain to me a little bit, if you had an option right now between online and in person, which one do you think is working out more efficiently that you potentially might need to boost up and develop more?
Online is working for us now. Well, just on the registration side, because we don't have driver's license online as yet. So it has been working out for us more efficiently. However, based on the recommendations that I've received, and of course I ask for feedback and recommendations, I'm always open to. In-person registration is the best. Because you come in, you get your stuff, and then you're gone. But our fear, like I keep saying here, that we don't want to have the long lines of people going around the building waiting to get in 6 at a time, because we don't want to accommodate everybody.
Well, in reality, that's not a fear. That's actually what's happening. So you're calling it a fear, but every time I drive by, the line hangs all the way around the building.
But it's going to get worse if we have it in person.
It looks that way. Yeah. Quickly, could you give me the numbers on how many vehicles are registered and how many individuals with licenses in the territory?
For 21, we had 75,500 or so vehicles registered.
Okay.
But let me give you the numbers for the driver's license.
2 minutes.
License 20. And for drivers, no, that's disabled person.
Is my time ticking?
Sorry, I don't have that on the top of my head. I have to go through my report here.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and ask the next question. Maybe someone could assist you in getting that number. We had OMB here about 2 weeks ago, and they stressed that their ultimate goal is to really work on performance-based budgets based on what the various agencies are doing. And our whole purpose of being here in these meetings is to extract from you information in order to see what funding you need to best serve the community. And I'm going to be honest with you. The majority of complaints that I get has to do with disgruntled constituents as well as employees. And when I'm listening to the stories, I try to still be objective. But when you're hearing the same consistent story in regards to extensive time, there's issues, there's concerns, employee morale is down. Tell me a little bit about how you believe your performance is, and if you were being judged based on a performance-based budget, do you think you're doing the best on behalf of the people currently, and would it justify the budget you're requesting?
Under the current circumstances and the situation under which we have to operate, I believe we're doing the best that we can. Can we do better? Yes.
Okay.
And then we've heard it here today. Yes, we can. However, based on the circumstances and the manner in which we are operating.
And my colleague spoke about the additional 11 employees that you said you wanted, and it is your hope that with these additional employees you foresee doing a better job to help alleviate a lot of these issues. But I'm going to go back to about, say, 2.5 years ago with the prior administration. And one of the things that I could use me as an example, I often do, I had literally stopped going to the DMV years prior. And someone one day said to me, Alma, it has cleaned up. It has improved. Because I was one of those that paid a courier every year to go register her car because I didn't have 6 hours to go sit in the DMV.
Time.
May I conclude?
Yeah, you just
Thank you.
speed up the chronicle of the story.
Well, thank you so much. Now, I didn't have 6 hours in order to sit around, and I would pay a courier. But what I recognized when, during the last administration, they said to me, it's better. And I said, let me go check it out. I was in and out in less than an hour. So I'm trying to understand, with all of these additional improvements and online and all these things that are happening, supposedly to help progress us, it seems the BMV has gone backwards. And that's what I'm trying to understand, what exactly is happening there that is changing the dynamics from us going forward as opposed to us standing still or even going in reverse. From
when you came in and out the last time,
yes,
it probably would have been the same way if we had not been in this situation where we are doing by appointment only, limited persons, and that's basically what the issue is, Senator. It's just limited in the amount of persons that we serve per day. What happened before, driver's license have always been an in and out, and it still is for the most part. Registration have always been a wait. We did get that down to the average of an hour instead of the 3-4 hours. Again, until we go back to, real time. Yeah.
Well, last statement, because COVID happened in 2020. When did you become the director?
19.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And the complaints started to happen before COVID. So when you share with me that it potentially is because of COVID, I was hearing these things prior too. So I'm trying to really, I know my time is up, but I'm really trying to narrow in, because at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that you guys get what you need to give the public the best service. And that's what I care about. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heyliger. Senator.
Thank you.
Good.
Senator Francis Heyliger.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again. Earlier, how are you? Mr. Benjamin, Director Benjamin. Earlier in your testimony, you spoke about a policy that was amended, automobile for hire. Could you give me a little bit of explanation on what that is?
It's a policy that was the requirement that a taxi driver needs to register a vehicle. and what all he needs to have in his vehicle. So a taxi driver will get his vehicle inspected. He requires to have fire extinguisher, first aid kit, phones.
So it was updated and amended to include additional things, or they took things away?
What was updated is moving forward with safaris.
Okay, the additional stuff about safaris. Okay, thank you. Who exactly? We heard about some employees that you hired, and then they were fired. I'm trying to find out who exactly has authority to hire employees. Is it the board or yourself?
Well, apparently the board. The board told me I illegally hired them, and
so you're the one that hired them, and the board said you illegally hired them? That's what they said to you?
They said the board hires officers.
Okay. Were you aware that that is the structure of the Taxi Cab Commission at the time?
At the time, there was 2 employees that was interviewed from the previous director. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I got an email and it was approved before. And I interviewed them upon coming and as the executive director also.
Okay.
And the reason that I made a decision to hire them was I got an email from Post that was an upcoming academy starting. Mm-hmm. Academies comes, I think, last 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
And being that I had the email within a month,
you went ahead and did it.
I went ahead and did it.
So, since the board fired them, is it a situation where, since they fired them because they said you hired, is it something that these individuals could come back and potentially reapply, and the board could go through the process again? Because I'm for maybe a technical internal issue, for me, I don't see how it would play out on them. So I'm trying to find out, can they come back?
I believe they could, but with someone being hired and fired, I don't think they want to come back.
Okay, I think internally I'll need to clean that up, because I don't think it's fair to individuals that might have gone through the process to be stuck between a potential issue between the director and the board.
The misunderstanding, I told the board that whoever misunderstanding, I took the reprimand.
Okay.
Just so they could get employees, but they fired employees and they did reprimand me 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling me this. I want to ask another question in regards
Sure,
to...
you may wrap up.
How much time do I have left?
Your time has been called, but you can go ahead, Senator.
Okay,
it's okay.
Thank you. 3 minutes go so fast.
I know.
One of the things that I wanted to know, and this has to do with dealing with your budget, that's why you're here. I want to know, from a regulatory standpoint, what are the things that you feel that needs to be improved in order for the Taxi Cab Commission to function much better in order to serve the taxi cab?
More law enforcement officers.
Okay. So, just let me wrap up quickly. I know you said because of the executive office order, some of them have to report to the COVID task force and you're down to 1. What would be the ideal amount between the 2 districts do you think could better help serve that in order to make the industry a lot better?
Well, upon coming to the agency, there was the chief and St. Thomas and 2 officers. I think the year before, one had left to go away. At St. Croix, there was a deputy chief and an officer. I think with the chief and the deputy chief being occupied, beside the chief, I'll say 4 officers at St. Thomas, where I could station 1 at St. John, and we have 3 at St. Thomas, and I think 2 officers at St. Croix along with the chief.
Okay.
Along with the deputy chief.
And this is reflected in the budget?
We still have the vacancies for the officers that was terminated.
Okay.
And
And that's 2.
We have to revisit the chief and the deputy chief salary.
Thank you, Senator Heyliger.
I appreciate the indulgence, but the whole purpose of dealing with a budget is we need to know what you need. And if you're not reflecting it in the budget, that defeats the purpose. That's what I'm trying to understand.
The officer that's needed is reflected in the budget. The only thing that's not reflected in the budget per se is the chief and the deputy chief salary that has to be readjusted.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarity.
I think that you've sort of left me a little confused. So let's break it down a little bit. So how many law enforcement officer positions you have currently in the 2021 this year's budget? How many positions you have that are law enforcement related?
Allotted it on to 4 on St. Thomas and 1 on St. Croix.
4 on St. Thomas and 1 on St. Croix. Of the 4 on St. Thomas, how many are filled?
2.
So 2. So you need 2 more in St. Thomas.
Yes.
And of the 1 in St. Croix, is it filled?
The officer is there, but we don't have a deputy chief.
Stay with me. You have 1 position in St. Croix that's filled.
Yes.
Who supervises that person on a daily basis? You do it from where you are. Okay, so that's what the senator is trying to get at. So you have 4 positions in St. Thomas. Ideally, how many positions do you need on St. Thomas?
The 4 positions.
So the 4 positions in St. Thomas is sufficient.
I think.
But so is there a chief on St. Thomas?
No.
So you only have 4 enforcement and there's no one on the
No, the 4 officers is besides the chief.
I understand.
Oh.
Do you have a chief on board now?
No, I don't.
So do you have a chief that's budgeted?
Yes.
But the position is vacant?
Yes.
Okay, so we've had this discussion last fiscal year. I remember you coming. Okay, I think that you're recognized for your point of inquiry, Senator Heyliger.
Inquiry. Earlier in the conversation, we heard that the board was meeting multiple times during a week, sometimes 2 times a day. So I'm assuming that they were doing some serious work. But one of the things you're now clarifying for us is just even simple as hiring individuals. Has these things been on the agenda for them to attempt to hire these vacant positions? Are you aware of hirings being part of all these multiple meetings?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a problem with our taxi commission. The governor needs to deal with this situation. One more question before we close, because